Welcome to the Untrapped Podcast, where we're motivated and inspired about success, small business, and personal development. And now, Keith Kalfas.
Hello, my friends. It's Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped Podcast. We have a special guest, the Brand Transformist, Mr. Chris Beltran from California. You guys are going to want to tune in and listen to this specifically. If you want to take your business, your brand, the value perception of what your customers and clients see when they're looking for a landscaper, a window cleaner, whatever service business you're in, when they're going to look for a service provider to come and do work on their property, on their home, whether they're spending a small amount or they want to spend 20 grand, they're going to look at the company that has stuff, a brand that looks consistent. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your social media. And when they see a brand that looks professional and has professional branding, they're probably going to hire that company versus somebody else who has no consistency at all on social media. Chris Beltran is going to take the floor a little bit. He's not only somebody that I've hired to consult me in my own business, that I've paid him to help me create what's called a brand style guide. And he helped my business do an entire rebrand internally and externally on social media. He created what's called a brand style guide. He's going to share that with you in a few minutes here. And also, he's also the wizard behind the curtain who's done a rebrand for Brian's Lawn Maintenance. If you look on his YouTube channel, his social media, and you see how it looks no longer generic. Well, I'm not saying his stuff looks generic, but that's his slogan, but it looks iconic. He also is the wizard behind the curtain that did the rebrand for Paul Jameson's Green Industry Podcast. If you see my podcast, the Untrapped Podcast, it looks amazing because Chris Beltran here is the Brand Transformist, not just a graphic design artist, but I'm talking like his brain. This is what he does. He also is the genius behind the curtain who's done rebrands and done consulting for some of the top level marketers in our entire industry. The people that are literally household names in the internet marketing world. So it's an honor to have him here. And also it's really freaking cool. And before we get started real quick, I want to let you know that him and I, we're going to be doing a workshop and it's totally free. So take out your calendar and mark August 6th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me make sure that, I'm sorry, we're live on all platforms right now. And give me one quick second. I want to make sure that you guys can see me on Facebook as well. August 6th, 5 p.m. Him and I are hosting a totally free workshop where he's going to teach. And you're going to learn how to make your business stand out in a unique way that reflects the quality and value that your business provides. One other quick thing real quick. You're going to walk away in this workshop knowing how to create a brand that attracts perfect fit clients and leads to more sales. This is for real. Really excited about this. Okay, we are live on Facebook as well. Everything is good. What's up, Chris Beltran?
What's up, man? Well, first off, I'm honored to be on the podcast. You've had so many experts on this podcast, and for so many years, it's just an honor to be on the show now.
Bro, thank you so much. So a few years ago, I was at this point of there's something called, it's like unconscious competence. There's conscious incompetences where you get to the point where you know you have pain and you're actively seeking for a solution. And for me, it was my brand on social media was looking very generic. And like I talk about how there's 25 different shades of green. And I'm posting every time I make a thumbnail or I post something and I would use like the color green, it would be a different tone of green every time. And I was like, well, it's green. But something didn't feel right. My brand was starting to blend in with everything else on social media instead of standing out. And I was like, I really need help. I can't wrap my mind around this. I thought I was a marketing guy, but not at the level that you are. And then I heard this really high level marketer that I follow. I got into one of his programs, and he was saying that the guy who helped take his business, like, I don't know, they were stuck at some multi-million-dollar mark and they blew up. It was after they hired you because you created this whole messaging ecosystem to help them take their brand to this iconic level. And then they said, by the way, the guy's name is Chris Beltran. I was like, Chris Beltran. So I looked you up and I looked up your social media and I was like, this is the dude. And I just knew it. Like, it felt right to me. So I got on a consultation call with you, and over the period of the next few months, we did a series of Zoom calls where, dude, I was just looking yesterday. I have this huge freaking notepad filled with notes from what Chris Beltran taught us. So I had Sonny on our team join on the calls. We recorded them. And bro, I'm so thankful, because what you taught me, not only about marketing, but branding, changed my business and upgraded everything. And it made me much more confident. So it's an honor to have you here. You're the freaking man, bro. So thank you. So
wow,
what are you going to teach us today? Huh?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, hopefully I can live up to the amazing introduction. So thanks, Keith, for, again, having me on the show. Super excited to talk about branding. This is something I can talk about all day, every day. And it's really about, empowering small to mid-level businesses to really be competitive with the big boys. There's some big brand strategies I'll share today to help you take action, at least something that you can do today. But I think overall, it's just really, you're going to get a better understanding of why branding is so important, especially in today's world, right? Because so many other businesses are coming onto the market. And so I'll share some stats too that I looked up for landscaping businesses, the landscaping industry, which is actually booming. So it's going to be pretty amazing to see how people navigate going into the future.
Hey, Untrapped Podcast listeners. You transform properties, but getting consistent clients can be tough. How do you get more eyes on your amazing outdoor services? Footbridge Media specializes in helping contractors like you dominate your local market online. They build professional, optimized websites that convert visitors into leads, handling everything from design and SEO to review management. Stop being trapped by a lack of leads. Grow your home service business with a strong online presence. Open your browser and visit footbridgemedia.com/Keith today.
Yeah. So when you say booming, that means there's lots of opportunity, but also competition. And so you actually were live. You came inside of my Untrapped Alliance private group a few weeks ago, and you coached our members, and you did like live website audits, and you were looking at people's logos and stuff like that and pointing things out of like somebody had a logo for their lawn or landscape business and it looked good, but it also kind of just looked generic, like it was blending in, where anybody could have just had that made on a simple logo creation website. And then we look at your logos that you recreate, and you do this cool thing where you take the original elements of their existing logo where their heart is at, but then you turn it into this whole new thing that it's like, it looks like this established thing. Like it looks like the business has been around for 30 or 50 years. And just looking at the logo itself is like, whoa, it's like next level. So what's up, bro? How did you learn all this?
Well, obviously, I went to college and went to school to really learn, how to become more strategic with design, right? And design is very subliminal. So colors can evoke emotion, fonts can evoke emotion. So all of these things really evoke emotion, and branding is really not just about your logo. So think of the logo pretty much as like the cherry on the sundae. It's at the very top, you're going to focus on that, but there's so many different layers to your brand, right? Like I said, your colors, your fonts, your brand patterns, your messaging, and all of this creates a brand identity. So the same thing as you would describe your best friend, he's funny, he's crazy, whatever. You want your brand, you want someone to be able to describe your brand. And at least you want to be able to describe what your brand looks and feels like, and what your values are, things like that. So right out of college, I actually landed a job, pretty much my dream job, where I was basically becoming a creative director for an 8-figure drinkware promotional company. So this is where they put logos on different water bottles, shot glasses, and things like that. And we worked with like the NFL, TV shows, you name it, basically helping these companies promote their companies with merch, right? And so once I was able to work with them, I started to see really the impact branding has, even within the company I was working for. We shot up to the top. Once I took over, I started shooting their ads. I did photography, product photography, designed their catalogs, their ads, and all these things. And then what I started to see is that people started to copy us in the industry. Kind of like Apple, once Apple started to get this really clean look, now all these other companies are kind of copying that style because now it's become an iconic style. And so that's where I really started to learn some of these big brand strategies. And over time, started listening to podcasts just like this, and others like James Wedmore, Pat Flynn, other people in the online space. I started going to some of their events, and I started to really see that branding really was like the last thing on a business owner's priority list, but it's the first thing that your customers remember, right? Because you got to think about it. When you're in the field working, your branding touches everything that leads to a sale. This is going to be your business cards. When you meet someone, you're going to hand over your business card. Does that business card look professional, right? What about your flyers, your t-shirts, your vehicle wraps? So all of these things create an experience for your audience and for your customers. And I always say your branding really sets the expectations of your customer's experience. So if they feel that your brand is cheap or it's inconsistent or sloppy or any of these words, then they're going to assume that's how the experience is going to be working with you. So that's where branding really influences the buying decisions of your audience and customers. Like once they start to get an idea or feel, based on what your branding and also your personality and everything else comes into play. But branding just has such a big impact on sales. And that's what my mission here is to really share how important branding is, but what you can do to actually start to attract more perfect fit clients.
So what goes into a brand? What are all the different elements into branding?
Yeah, so I would say there's like three main elements. This is part of my AIM method, AIM. So audience alignment. So you want to make sure that you're aligning to the right type of clientele, right? If your branding looks, high-end, professional, or even corporate, you're going to attract more corporate type of clients. Let's say your branding looks a little more approachable, homegrown, right? Then you can attract more residential clients. So you want to make sure that your branding is really aligned to the right type of audience, right? And then we get into intentional imagery. Like, is your imagery, your branding elements, everything from your website to social media, does that all help tell a story that supports your values and your mission, right? So let's say you're a landscaper and you're all about, residential type of clients in, let's say, gated communities, for example. Well, you want your branding to kind of reflect that premium price point rather than clip art or like something that looks like you just designed a logo real quick and slapped it on your truck, right? Because that's going to have an influence on those decision makers. So I would just say, there's a couple of things, audience alignment, intentional imagery, and then messaging. So AIM. In messaging, you want to make sure that it's meaningful, that it's aligning again to the right people, that you're really telling a story with your branding. And there's some things that you can do with that. But overall, you want to just make sure that whether it's your website or social media or emails, anything that you're putting out with messaging, you want to make sure that it's actually helping tell the story of, what your goals are and what your values are for your business. So the other thing I would just say is that, there's kind of two sides to your brand, right? There's the outside, which is the visual side, and then there's the inner side, which is like your marketing or messaging. And I always say, like, the outside, a designer can't really design the cover of a book without knowing the story, right? So you kind of have to know, like, what your values are as a business in order to design the logo and your colors and your fonts and all those types of things. Does that make sense?
Dude, I love marketing so much that you just talking about this, my brain is thinking of all these, it's my subconscious mind is reshuffling the deck and all these dots are connecting and I'm smiling and laughing because I'm like, I freaking love marketing. I'm smiling a lot because you made me remember something that it made sense. So I had this client who was a freaking billionaire, and I had this other client who was, I think he was a millionaire, and he owned a finance company. And I became friends with him, and I told him about my client who was a billionaire. And I told him again and again. He goes, I think he wanted to make a connection with the billionaire client, right? So he gave me my business card to give to the billionaire client. And the business card, had his name and his information. It was his branded business card, right? That's your business card. It says a lot about your business. But on the business card in the background, there was pictures of like skyscrapers, like buildings, like a photograph of buildings, and I gave it to the billionaire client. I said, my client who has a finance company wants me to give this to you. He wants to connect with you or something. And my client looked at the business card and he looks at the business card and he paused and he looked at me and he didn't even care. And I go, what's going on? He goes, look at this. He looks at the business card. He goes, you see this, the picture? I go, of what? He goes, the picture of the big buildings and the skyscrapers. I go, yeah, what's your point? He goes, you want to know why that's on this business card? Because this guy, he doesn't have that shit. And he gave me the business card back. He goes, I don't want it. I go, you don't want it? He goes, no. I go, why? He goes, because I just told you. These pictures on the business card, I already know this guy full of shit. And he gives it back to me and I put it in my pocket. I was like, okay. So I was like, when you're talking about this and prestige clients and that billionaire client taught me a lot though, bro. He taught me so much stuff. So
I bet. Yeah.
In the gated communities and the subdivisions that are like that, like your branding and everything, the customers, you get in where you fit in. So the customer, when they see your brand, if it's overly trying to look like high-end prestige and it's gimmicky, they'll see right through it. So it's like everything has to be in this alignment to where when they see it, they're like, like perfect fit to the customers. Like it's a sense, and it's like, all right, keep going, bro.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, like I said, branding is about a feeling, right? So you're not, when you look at any type of brand, you're not thinking like, oh, this makes me feel a certain way. It's just, it's an internal subconscious type of thing. And that's where you can get really, really strategic. The biggest brands in the world are investing millions and millions of dollars into their branding. Why? Because that's what's going to influence the buyers, right? So as a business owner, you got to think, okay, what can I do to help influence a sale? And that's where branding comes into play. Because, if let's say you're in the field, you're parked across the street, and I just saw one of your reels where you were working and someone else that you knew was across the street. I think it was another landscaping company. And so with this industry, you're actually competing on the same blocks, right? And so you have a lot of opportunities in this block. Now, if they're looking at one truck and they're like, yeah, this thing's kind of, and this guy might look like he's just getting started, but his branding looks very intentional. It's not, we're kind of going beyond just looking professional. We have to be looking intentional. And what I mean by that is like, yes, you can go online and get a template for a logo, but who else has that logo? If you're purchasing things that are being reused, now you're going to start to blend in with other people in your industry. So you want to make sure that if you're going to invest into your brand, you want to make sure that it's unique, that it's in alignment to your audience, like we just talked about. And then also that it gives you a feeling of like, okay, this feels trustworthy, right? sometimes what I see a lot of times is that companies will just hire a relative real quick to design something, and it might not look to the caliber as their competitors, right? And so what happens is, even though you might have a better skill set, better employees, better values, whatever, you can be overlooked by those that are investing into their brand because they look the part and you might not yet.
And then you go on and you put on your door hangers, flyers, hats, shirts, hoodies, website, social media, and totally invest, and 3-5 years goes by.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Like, everything that leads to a sale, your branding is on. All those things, your business card, flyers, vehicle wraps, all of that is dealing with branding. And so it's kind of unfortunate that you're spending all this money to have all those things created and made, but your branding, the packaging of what you're putting out there, isn't looking trustworthy or valuable. So I always say you want to make sure that your branding matches the quality and the value that your business provides. So if it doesn't, then the perceived value of what you have to offer is going to be low. And, you don't want that, obviously.
You just made me think of this. One of my best friends has a company. It's not in this green industry, and although it is in the green industry, but his brand is the best of any brand, and he's literally won competitions and awards of the highest, and he's in magazines and everything, and he's on interviews, and he's extremely successful. But one of the biggest things you made me realize is because the visual imagery and all the packaging and the branding is the best of the best. It's amazing. He has it on hats and shirts and hoodies, and he does events, and he's at festivals, and has traveling stuff, and his products are in stores, and the branding is consistent everywhere. And the brand is freaking amazing. And when you compare it to other brands, his is like, boom, it just stands out as the highest quality, and it actually is the highest quality. But it actually is the highest quality, but it also has the highest quality branding to back it up. I just took it for granted until just now when you said that. So think of everybody listening right now. Think of somebody that has a very successful business, but now start to think about their branding and the intention behind it. Like Chris is saying, the intentionality behind the branding.
Hey, my friend, did you know that you can get access and even discounts to a lot of the different tools that I talk about here on the Untrapped podcast, whether it be an actual physical tool that you use in your business or a software tool? A lot of the things that I talk about, I'm actually an affiliate partner. So if you just open up your browser and go to keithkalfas.com/resources, it'll take you to the list of all the resources that I use in my business, and you'll even get a discount. Enjoy the show.
Exactly. And you brought up two things. One, consistency. So, a lot of people ask, I'm just getting started. I had this logo and created, I know my colors, or I use consistent colors here and there. Okay. Well, the main thing is, as long as you're consistent, especially when you're just getting started, it's going to be easier to find and follow you. Right. Now, the other part of this is cohesiveness, meaning, does it look valuable, professional, intentional, right? And when things look more valuable, obviously you can have a higher price point. And what I always say is, like, you want your brand to be referable. Like, so most of, for anyone in business, we know the easiest sell is from a repeat buyer or a referral, right? So think about it right now. Is your branding referable? Like, if someone's going to refer you and they go, oh, here's his business card, or here's the flyer he left over or she left over, or check out his website, you're going to make a first impression when they start to refer you. And a study just came out. It takes less than 7 seconds for your branding to make a first impression, good or bad, on your customer. So you really got to think about how powerful this is, because if someone refers another client to you, they land on your website, but it doesn't look professional, they're going to move on to someone or a business that does. And so this is really something that you want to take away is like, okay, now how do I start to look more consistent and cohesive over time?
It's amazing. Some of the people that are on a mission to make the world a better place, for instance, like they could be very skilled at what they do, or it could be some like doctor that found this breakthrough thing that helps people or something, right? And then you go to the website of the research institute or whatever it is, and they really are the real deal. But the website's like horrible and there's no branding going on. And you're like, where did I end up? Like, I thought, does this make sense?
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean, this is what I'm saying. Even big companies, like I said, branding typically is the last thing on the priority list, but it has some of the biggest impacts on your business. And one thing I would say is that brand consistency, there's a study that came out, increases revenue by up to 33%. And this is because, again, it's easier to find and follow you when you're consistent on all the different platforms, on all your marketing materials, because people are going to bounce. It's called bouncing, right? So like, let's say, oh, go to so-and-so's website. And when they get there, it looks completely different than their truck or their flyer. Now they feel like they're in they got the wrong website. And so again, consistency is so key to be more of a referable brand.
And consistency, not just in doing it over and over consistently across the linear timeline, but consistently as it's consistent across all metrics, across all modalities, across all social media platforms, across the website, door hangers, flyers, hat, shirts, hoodie. If you get yard signs made, it's consistent to the website. So if they see a yard sign or they get a door hanger or a flyer, a business card, they go on the website, it matches the business card. No matter where they go, it's the same exact look and feel.
Exactly. And another quick stat here was 71% of consumers are more likely to buy from a brand they recognize. This was from the Global Banking and Finance. And so what that means is, like, again, even if you're just starting out, being consistent is so important. You don't want to be what I call Canva hacking your brand. Canva hacking your brand means like you're just, every time you're going to have something created, whether it's a flyer, your business cards, you're just kind of picking, like you said on that reel, a green color. No, you want specific color codes for your brand. You want specific fonts. And once you have these things in place, then you're able to just create consistently without even having to think about it. And that's going to even save you a ton of time, or your designer time, or whoever you're hiring, so that they're not guessing. The other thing is they're not putting their own spin on your brand, right? So if you don't have any guidelines, and that's what we're talking about in the very beginning, a brand style guide. So a brand style guide, think of this as your branding blueprint. It's the guidelines. So you wouldn't build a house without having a blueprint. Same thing with your brand. You wouldn't want to create flyers and business cards and all these things without guidelines. And so that's what we did with Keith, right? We created a whole brand identity, the logo, colors, fonts, patterns, and we put all that into a brand style guide. So
my brand style guide is amazing. I had it's actually my sister-in-law is a professional graphic designer of like 25 years, and my wife's whole family, it comes from, they're designers, and in the print industry, they're like all marketers. It's like I married into it's perfect. My wife does social media. She's the main social media director for helping homeless veterans, and she's like brought awareness to this organization, and she's always creating like designs and running things. She's very smart. And so anyways, my sister-in-law was like, she designed something for me recently because she's freaking brilliant. And I said, oh, by the way, and emailed her my brand style guide that you created for me. And when I sent it to her, she was like, oh, bet, because it had my specific shade of green and charcoal and the gold color the different colors and the fonts. And now she was able to create a phenomenal piece of artwork that matched my brand. And then I saw her family event. She goes, whoever created that brand style guide was a freaking genius. And it was you. Because I say, why is that? Because I want to know. And she goes, because he actually did it like the right. She goes, you wouldn't know how many people I deal with that don't. No, she wasn't complaining, but she was basically stating a fact that, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. She wouldn't say, dang. She said, sorry. She basically said that it was very professional. And that's coming from a professional graphic designer who, so yeah. So imagine
well, it makes her job easier, right? Having these guidelines, whoever you hire, whether it's a printing shop, a graphic designer, whoever it is, when you hand over brand guidelines, it's so easy to create from that. They're not having to guess, and there's not a lot of back and forth. And it was very interesting. Like I said, there's some stats I wanted to share. Another one coming out of Forbes was saying that brands with a strong visual identity grow 3 times faster than those with a weak or inconsistent branding. And so if you go into ChatGPT, Google, whatever, and you just type in, give me some branding stats. Why is branding so important? Start to look up these things yourself, because I'm not here to convince you that branding is important. I'm just here to share why you should start paying attention to it, because it affects your bottom line. And again, with this industry booming, more and more entrepreneurs and business owners are going to be coming into the green space, right? Landscaping, all these different, I think you're talking about window cleaning businesses and home-based service businesses. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Your branding is going to have an impact on how successful you become.
Gosh, I'm fired up. Everybody here right now listening, you want to sign up for the free workshop, which is basically you just, right now, you can get on the list. It's August 6th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where Chris is going to be going deep on this stuff, and it's totally free. So if you want this in your business, go to keithkalfas.com on your phone or your laptop, anywhere. The first button that you see is going to say register now for the Brand Advantage Workshop. Just click that button, put your name and email, it'll push you on the list, and then you'll get the emails right away. So you can be on the workshop totally free. August 6th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when you join this workshop, you're going to walk away creating a unique brand style. You're going to walk away with knowing how to create a brand that attracts perfect fit clients and leads to more sales. So you're going to learn how to stand out with a unique brand that reflects the quality and value your business provides. Really powerful stuff. So go to keithkalfas.com, click the button, and sign up for the Brand Advantage Workshop, August 6th, 5 p.m.
I'm so stoked, so excited for that, because we've had some amazing responses from other workshops that we've done, especially in your group and others. And to see what people do with it, again, it's not just about information, it's about the implementation, right? So this is a workshop. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly what to do next with all of these different branding elements. So it's not like we're just going to dump a bunch of information on you and send you on your way. This is actually a workshop. This is a very interactive and collaborative workshop. So come with your notebook and just come ready to start to implement some of the things that I'm going to be sharing.
Yes, bro. I learned so much stuff from you, man. I really appreciate you, bro. And
of course. Yeah.
I hope everybody here joins the workshop. And if there's something that you can do to invest in your business, this is free. This knowledge will equip you, because a lot of people that are in the service business aren't even thinking about this stuff. Like I told you, I'm obsessed with marketing. I've read literally hundreds of books. I have a whole bookshelf right there, hundreds of books on audible.com, anything marketing I was listening to. And I can't believe I didn't learn about the higher level, the basics of branding and the higher level stuff, because you start getting into like your brand stance and the messaging and, and all those stuff, but I won't get into that here. But when I started working with Chris, and I was blown away because he's your knowledge is like precision in this area. So
if you are looking for the greatest software ever to run your business on, go to getjobber.com/Keith. You can create proposals, invoices, collect payments, and track your entire business directly on the Jobber smartphone app. If you want to get a totally free trial of Jobber right now, open your browser, type in getjobber.com/Keith, and after the trial, if you decide to sign up with Keith's link, you'll automatically get 20% off your first 6 months. So what are you waiting for? Go to getjobber.com/Keith.
yeah.
Well, and it's exciting to, work with others in this, I've been privileged and honored to work with, you, Paul Jameson, Brian Fullerton, and others in this industry, really leaders in this industry. And it's been really cool to kind of see how the branding has started to help them evolve their branding, with Paul landing a big brand deal, pretty much right after we redid his branding. And so all of these things start to, at least for me, the exciting part for me is to see the results that happen after a rebrand. And I wanted to share this real quick because what you were touching on before was kind of like when to rebrand, right? Like when should you rebrand, or like when is a good time? And sometimes you don't even have to rebrand everything. And so I wanted to kind of touch on that real quick, because most of the time when people think of a rebrand, it's like, okay, am I starting from scratch? Am I just a clean slate here? Not necessarily. Like what we did with Brian Fullerton, he already had a brand. He already had his brand colors, the red and the black, the white and a gray. And he had a logo that he felt was a little outdated. So he wanted to make it feel a little more modern, a little more, more on brand for him. And so what we did is we took that shield shape, and this is what I call a legacy element. So this is what he already had. So a legacy element is pieces of your branding that you want to incorporate it into the rebrand, right? So he says, I like the shield. I want to keep the shield, but I want to kind of modernize that. And so what we did was we kept the shield shape, but then we put in stripes for the flag, and then 5 stars.
Dude, it's so dope. It looks
and,
like
and the 5 stars reference like a review, like a 5-star company. So that's why we put the 5 stars on the top of the shield with these blades of grass that also look like the stripes of the flag. So all of this is intentional, right? So that when someone sees it, they see the flag, they see the shield, they see the blades of grass, and all that kind of ties in. He already had his red colors and his black and gray color. So those are, again, legacy elements. And the reason why he wanted to rebrand is, one, he felt the logo was a little outdated. I think it was like 10 years old or something like that. 2, another good reason is to, when you feel like you're kind of blending in with others, like if you look too similar to others in your industry, that's a great time to rebrand, because you want to stand out. And then the third is if you feel like your branding isn't really supporting or reflecting, again, the quality and the value that you're providing. So if your branding was created years ago, just so you can get started, but now you have employees, you have a team, like you have trucks that you want to get wrapped, like this would be a good time to rebrand so that everything now matches the level that you're providing.
Dude, you just gave me another huge epiphany that I'm going to talk to you after this podcast. Wow. All right, guys. I hope all of you listening right now.
Well, what is it?
Well, dude, my actual landscaping business branding is totally different than my social media brand. And so people might, like, if you guys go to my website at keithkalfas.com, scroll down and look at that website. I'll say right now, I'll put money down on the table. It is dope. When you look at my website, there's no doubt it looks professional. It looks consistent. You can click over to the blog, to the pages, to the about section, the colors, font, style, tones, imagery, this cool like a honeycomb grid pattern. It looks almost like tire tracks. Like the way it looks is freaking amazing. Like people, after you did the rebrand for me and we applied it all to the website, and you gave us a template of what it should look like. You do all this stuff in your consulting when you do the rebrands. People were reaching out to me going, bro, it looks dope. And you said, well, a rebrand is a chance to re-engage. So I did a whole thing about the rebrand, and people were loving it. So all that is Chris Beltran. When you go to keithkalfas.com and you see it, it looks like that because of Chris Beltran. So my epiphany was my actual landscaping business and logo was created by a brilliant guy way back in 2012 by this a friend of one of my friends, Dan Ivers. He's a graphic guy who he designed mine, and Eric Reno from Paramount Building was like, bro, who did that? And he designed for Paramount Building as well. And I was like, this is like 13, 14, 15 years ago. I don't even know if I can get hold of this guy. But the way Eric's looks really dope. Mine looks dope. I love it, but it's like, it's not, how can I say this? It's not, I don't know. It looks dated to me. It's something that I might want to redo my whole brand so it all matches. And when you brought up Brian, I was thinking like Brian's actual lawn care business and all the branding matches all of his social media too. It's just all one big thing. Mine is separated. So people might get like this. You're just making my brain explode right now, because if somebody's going to get a rebrand done, they're going to want their business, their trucks, their trailers, their hats, their shirts, their hoodies, their social media, and everything they're marketing, promoting their business to be the same thing. Right. So it's like, that's something that's actually inconsistent with my own brand right now. It needs, thanks for bringing that to light. I need to move forward and get that done with you.
Yeah. Well, and I would say like, if there's a crossover, like if, you're I'll just say you're in the field brand, your business, your physical business, is there a crossover to your digital business? Are people going to, look at your YouTube, that are customers? And so if that's the case, then I would say, yeah, you want that consistency there. But if they're completely separate, then they don't have to look. But it's
I have a separate YouTube channel, separate Facebook, separate social media, and everything for my actual landscaping business, where I create and market, promote to my customers to get more clients. The social media is a different thing. So I'm glad that you just said that. Now you just saved me a whole big headache and a bunch of money just by saying that, because I don't have to.
Yeah, I would just say if there's that crossover, then it would be ideal to make sure that there is that seamless cohesiveness from your physical business to your digital business. But
sorry for making it about me. I literally that popped up and I just took over and started blabbing about it.
Well, I think that's a great question, especially with others that are listening that might have what we call a sub brand, right? Maybe this is part of your business, but it's like a sub brand, like a part of your business, but not necessarily your main business, right? Or they can be two separate things too. But I do think it's important, especially with you, because you're more of a thought leader and influencer in the space. So I think that's why Brian wanted to have the consistency from his physical business to his digital business, because that kind of gives you social proof and social cred. So we're kind of moving into the era now where everyone really does need a personal brand or need some kind of online presence, because people are going to go search for you and they're going to go, okay, Keith Kalfas, yeah, he's he does all my landscaping, blah, blah, type you in. And then they see your digital business like, oh, wow. Like he has hundreds of thousands of people subscribe to his podcast and YouTube. Okay. Like this guy's the real deal. So
yeah, I had a customer come out of the house and he was looking just like this. He goes, I saw your videos. I was actually up till midnight and watching them. I was like, oh shoot. He's like, I'm not one of those cheap, picky customers you were talking about, are you? And I was like, no, man, you're one of the good ones. I'm like, you didn't see in the videos where I was cussing and talking about the nitpicky, too many. He's like, no, it was good stuff. I liked it. I was like, I used to cuss a lot back in the day in the videos. I was all amped up talking to landscapers, and then some of the customers would see it, and then some of them, they'd come out of their house like this.
Right.
But look.
and so that's the thing. I think for you, not to kind of like flip you back to wanting to rebrand your physical business, but because I would say there is a crossover. Now you're saying that your customers are seeing your YouTube videos that are different than your landscaping business YouTube. And so there is that crossover. So I think there should be some kind of consistency there so that they feel it's part of the same brand, right? And that's what Brian wanted to really do, is really, show that consistency from the offline world to the online world. So when they go find him online, they go, oh wow, this is the same guy. He does courses, he helps people grow their own businesses, and he's working with me. Amazing. So they see the connection there. And so I think that's going to help, I would say, you even land more customers because you got that social proof, that online social proof. So, just something to think about, especially those that are listening that have an online presence that's in the same industry.
Bro, I'm excited because there's people listening right now who have just started a YouTube channel. They're posting on Instagram and TikTok. They're giving tips about business. So with all that being said, if you need to get your brand game popping, I'm going to promote this one more time for those of you that are just joining. So join the workshop. It's totally free. Chris is going to blow your mind. It's the Brand Advantage Workshop. It's August 6th, 5 p.m. EST. Get on the list right now so you get notified. And by going to keithkalfas.com is my website, and the first button you see will say register for the Brand Advantage Workshop now. Go there right now, put your name and email, get on the list, and we'll see you August 6th at 5 p.m. It's going to be freaking amazing.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's I'm really excited about that, to really show you some more actionable things that you can do where I can actually share my screen and you can actually see examples and things like that. There's also going to be a workbook that you'll be able to download so that you can follow along, fill in the blanks. Again, this is a workshop. We're going to be working on this session here, and you're going to be walking away with a branding blueprint so that you can actually move forward knowing exactly what types of colors, fonts, brand style that's going to help you make more sales. And so that's what I'm really excited about.
I'm going to tell everybody about this. I'm going to keep posting about it because you're going to walk away with did you say a blueprint to know what to do?
Exactly. Yeah. This workbook is, I call it your visual vibe guide, but it's basically a workbook that we're going to go through on the workshop, and you can fill in some of these things so that by the end of the workshop, you'll have a brand blueprint of like, okay, so this is the kind of style I'm going for. This is the type of like logo style. This is the type of colors I need to focus on. These are the types of fonts I need to focus on. And then, we'll have an exclusive opportunity to work with us as well. So a lot of cool things that we're going to be sharing on this workshop that I don't really share outside of these private workshops. So really, really stoked for this.
Perfect. Thank you so much. No, I know you're a busy guy, Chris, so I'll let you get back to it. And everybody here, I want to say thank you so much for your time. And if you want to listen to this while you work, again, the Untrapped Podcast on Apple and Spotify is about to cross 1 million downloads.
Wow.
But either way, go to keithkalfas.com right now and register for the Brand Advantage Workshop. I'll see you August 6th. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Keith.
Hey, I hope you liked the show. And if you like the Untrapped Podcast and you get value from it, can you please take a minute and go over to Spotify and leave it a well-worded positive 5-star review? It helps boost the rankings on Spotify so the show can get to more people. Therefore, these messages can get out to more people and inspire more people so then they can go out and start their small businesses and crush it and get to the next level. It's a huge deal. All right, I'll see you in the next show.